Well, it's better to succeed. It's better to fail in originality than succeed in imitation. But at the end of the day, it's about success, right? So whether I imitated or I didn't imitate, I think the world doesn't want to know where you got it. The only issue comes in whereby you cannot transfer this generation because you can't transfer something you don't own.
Yeah.
You don't have no right to transfer it.
It's not original.
If you give me a phone and I'm using it to do business, I can't give it out to somebody else.
It's not yours.
It's not mine. But I cannot give it out to somebody that when it's mine.
Yeah.
So that's the whole issue, because we've seen people building careers a whole lot with imitation. And this comes in observing patterns by how certain people, for example, you can entirely do a copy and paste of the Google approach to business. That is, if you get chance to work with Google and you incorporate that with your website or if you're designing a search engine, for instance, you know, okay, maybe that could be too big. Let's give an example of any person you could be looking up to, because some of these entrepreneurs, we don't have to entirely look at the celebrities, but you can go down to your hometown. You take a look at somebody who's owning a supermarket, you get time to interact, and probably it's been successful. And you see results. You see, manifestation is something you can't run away from. If somebody has results, it shows that they have results. It's working out for them. Copy and paste the model, use it to your retail shop, use it to your chapati store, and you'll find that it could work out for you. But how are you going to have the authority to teach that same skill to somebody who has seen you succeed? Maybe with that way, because as we observe patterns of entrepreneurs, we pick our own. You know that because the aspect of entrepreneurship will also come in line with your personality. Because Mercy, your mode of operation has a lot to do with your personality.
Yeah.
If you're running a business. So if I copy your mode of operation and I have a different personality from yours,
true.
In the future somewhere I shall collide. I will collide with my business in a way. That's why I don't have the authority to actually transfer this skill to somebody else. Now that's the dangerous side of imitation, of succeeding in imitation. I believe imitation gives you a foundation.
Yeah, gives a foundation to start on.
To start.
Yeah.
But as you build, you discover your own.
You discover your own. Of course, at the end of the day, there is always there are reasons as why people become successful. You know, it's because probably of their personality, maybe their character.
Correct.
You cannot be them whatsoever. However much you try to, you can never be them.
Yeah. And even when you take a look at the frameworks that govern their enterprises, the constitution, they drafted one. A biggest percentage of that is backed from their character.
Have you ever been in a situation where someone tells you, "No, mukazi, think about Racha and Wamwagaranyo," but you know, like maybe let's say hotels and food, the food is not nice. Strategy and personality. Personality. You never know. Maybe she could be a heartwarming person. They're so welcoming, hospitable, and that is why if someone is like, "No, I'd rather go." With this person. Yeah, with this person. If you try to imitate her, trust me, David Jacola, at the end of the day. And of course, Jeff Bezos once said, if you do not understand the details of your business, you're going to fail.
Wow, if you don't understand the details of your business, you're likely to fail. And and understanding details, most especially now, comes hand in hand when you go to, you see, when we talk about the business and you have this whole idea, it normally stops on the venue where you're going to put your business, how much capital you need, that we don't go into the dynamics of the consumer's taste and preferences, which change over time. We don't look into the aspects of how, for example, the commodities we are selling, how are they, we don't project what is their availability in the market likely to be in the coming 2 to 3 months, such that I make a decision that, okay, I need soap in my shop, but you just put something because it's a formality. And if you make a shop, all these commodities must be there. But I think every commodity that you put in your shop, there has to be a reason. Why did you put it there? You don't do what others are doing. Make a calculated risk. That's what I call it. You calculate the risk before you put it out there. So Jeff Bezos is absolutely right. You have to know the details of your business, and that has a lot to do with the consumer behaviors in relation to the commodities that you have in your shop. That's now we are talking the real details. Anyone can put up a video and anyone can get the stuff, but the actual business is where you give out the product, the money comes back.
You have to reach out to the final consumer.
You have to reach out.
Know what they like, know what they need at the end of the day, know the seasons actually. There's some businesses that are seasonal actually. Very seasonal. So know that
some products are demanded on season.
Yeah. So it's really crucial that you know the details, know the checks and balances, account for, have a plan for your business.
Exactly.
It's not about, I'm just talking about people who are starting up. I'm setting up a business, okay, I'm going to start doing clothes, I'm going to start doing perfumes. I mean, if you're in an area like maybe in the up country, are you sure that the price you're putting your perfumes on, they're going to be able to buy?
It's going to be friendly to them. Absolutely. Now that's you're getting to the details of the business in terms of pricing and setting prices vis-a-vis the population you're
and that is why it is good to make research. You go on ground. You go on ground. You actually start with your family members. You're like, okay, I'm selling this at 10,000. And if they start bargaining and they're like, you know what? You realize, if my family member is bargaining, that means the final consumer really.
Absolutely.
It's going to be challenging for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think that brings us to the end of our discussion in line with the tips to get inspired as an entrepreneur right there. Now, heading back to our topic of discussion today. Now, Mercy, I feel like the aspect of tour companies promoting tourism, it's not something that should be left alone to these companies. But any institute, from the banking, from telecommunications, have a huge role to play in terms of tourists. Because yes, me, the travel company, I have brought in the tourist. Wonderful. But I'm not going to influence his experience with the internet of the country. I'm not going to influence his experience with the banking system of the country. I'm not going to influence anything related to service delivery. So in other words, this comes along to any people, any person that is selling, that is dealing in a service that is likely to be consumed by a tourist. It's a collective effort. It's a collective effort. Now, of course, as we can proceed a little bit before we get in there, if we can do a little bit of benchmarking from companies from in other countries, what are they putting in place to ensure that tourists have the best and they come more in numbers? Now, Namibia is one of the top performers when it comes to adventure tourism. And it demonstrates how tour companies drive revenue, where adventure tourists seek not only just using taking experiences, but also culture immersion and active engagement with the landscapes.
That's quite interesting. Actually, you remember the report about the festival between the Nigerians were actually Ghanaians actually were planning to go to some country just to bridge the culture between those that are staying in diaspora, people to know. To know one another. So I believe that is what because now you see, actually what attracts people is the fact that, because we have Black Americans in Africa. Some of us, in America. So you'll find someone has, like, they find their DNA is connected to kind of Africa.
They're connected to Africa.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you find that more attached to, I want to go see my homeland. I want to go and see where I come from.
Culture immersion.
Culture immersion.
I remember one of the rappers in the United States, Lacri, said when COVID-19 gets done, he thought he's from Nigeria or he's coming in from, I think, he said, he mentioned one of the two tribes there. And that is already tourism. If you have such a big, relating to that, that's already culture immersion. So imagine what people are going to think about that, you know. Now, in East Africa, safari companies organize wildlife safaris. Like you can see that it's beyond just their diverse experiences, just beyond tourism, but other services coming on, you know, beyond safari, but rather diverse experiences. Now, the experiences are the organized wildlife safaris, we have gorilla trekking and culture tours. Now, these experiences definitely attract and attract tourists and generate revenue through bookings, which we have entrance fees and related services of such, right? Now, there is also something here which is South Africa has benefited from. Netflix and tourism.
Wow.
Now, exposure to South African content to Netflix has a significant impact because viewers were 3.1 times more likely to consider South Africa as their top travel destination.
I'm very certain about that. Very certain.
Absolutely.
You know, when content is put out there, mostly in regards to entertainment, then it's not a form of entertainment, it's also a form of tourism. At the end of the day, because
absolutely.
they're going to showcase the different cultures they have. Remember the days when we used to watch Shaka Zulu? Shaka Zulu,
yeah,
and know the dances, the culture, it was all in there. Of course, I'm very sure people took time to go to South Africa to see. I mean, how is it true that their language, they have that sound of yeah, you've had it all over social media.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it's entertainment was also a way of actually promoting tourism. Yeah. So you can imagine now that the content that we have on, MultiChoice and the likes. So imagine someone is watching. It's just that maybe the depiction that we have in Ugandan, the context, the movies that we make do not. I mean, we've been talking about this entertainment. We want to have a feel of Uganda. The movies that we have, it's not Uganda. It's not the kind of life that we have in Uganda. Yeah, remember the Ghetto Kids? Remember the video that Kenzo had about the Ghetto Kids? It attracted artists from the US to come.
Absolutely.
Because that was the raw Uganda. That was the rawness. And that is what people want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to see bougie things and lavish. They want to see
the actual experience of
Uganda.
Because that makes you feel different, you know. Now, we also have sustainable travel initiatives, which some of these companies are putting in place. And this is in line to do with, we discussed something to do with the conservation of tourism centers, but also now we have aspects of low carbon emission. I'm seeing 69% of travelers are seeking sustainable options as of 2023. And this is in line with eco-conscious tourists and opting for luggage-free travel to reduce carbon emissions. Actually,
I think one of the reasons as to why we're attracting more foreign, tourists is because of our environment. The environment has been polluted and it's all filled with buildings. I think it's only in Africa where you find a huge chunk of vegetation lying idle. I mean, those guys want to smell nature, the beautiful.
How to smell?
Yeah, because some of them don't know what vegetation looks like. I mean, all tarmac, there's a lot of buildings, maybe at the beach, that's the only thing. Maybe they could see a few trees too.
Artificial ones.
Artificial ones. So them coming to Uganda and seeing a forest, they're like, wow, there's a lot of trees. It's a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So definitely if we try not to cut down the trees, we can improvise and use other sources of getting energy. Use the briquettes like this or any other sources of energy. But of course, I also wanted to mention the fact that social media has helped actually also boost
tourists. Now tourists coming to the country.
Yes, even the tour companies are using social media very much. even away from away from the tour companies, you've seen this young boy, Tenge. It's a young boy trending around making a video. People are interested. Now they're interested, like, who's this kid? Where is he from? From Uganda? People are coming to make videos with this guy.
Okay.
So you cannot come in Uganda and not fail to see where he comes from. You won't come to Uganda and fail not to see the beauty of Uganda. You can't.
Okay.
So the influence that social media has on tourism is so much. If at all we knew the extent at which it has power, we would use it on a daily.
Social media.
Social media.
In other words, it also brings me back to the digital presence of these tour companies. You know, when you have a digital presence, probably you have your own website, you have your own kind of an application where you upload your content. You can create content. I know somebody, he told me that whenever I make a tour, you know, he normally posts
the
videos and all that. He goes with the camera crew and he makes that content. And that content is available on his social media status. And away from just him exposing the country, I mean, okay, away from him just showcasing his own company, that, hey, this is where we have been. He's selling out the country. He's selling out Uganda to the rest of the world. So content generation. And I think it's the tourism industry and most of the players should really look into this. Generate this content on each travel you make, store it somewhere. Let it be, if you can open your website, it can run to make your website busy. You upload trip by trip. Of course, not the entire trip, but those memorable moments on that tour trip. You came across this waterfall and the view was very marvelous. Post it out there, you know, sell it out to the world. I mean, you're attracting more tourists coming in. But there is also another big issue here. Okay, fine. I understand. We have attracted the tourists.
Yeah.
They have brought in the revenues in the country. But there are certain aspects you may not have control over. I mentioned something to do with their experience in terms of using the telecommunication service.
Oh yeah, true.
How bad would it be if somebody is trying to download a video, play a YouTube video, is in Uganda, is a tourist, and it's taking 5 minutes? What is he going to perceive of the telecommunication service for him to be in the country? Does it mean that if I'm in Uganda, I'm not going to communicate to my people back? Yeah,
the service is actually very poor, actually, because you realize in some areas the network, it goes off.
Yeah,
you're on zero. You can barely access even a bar, you know, for services. So I think we have to improve on that when it comes to bandwidth, you know, connectivity of the internet. Yeah. I think that is at least for every you know what? Now it goes back to those people that have invested in tour sites. Now, yeah, because now if you see the government invests $2 million. But of course, looking at East Africa, they actually invest not less than $30 million in tourism. So compare that to Uganda, which invests $2 million
in tourism.
Yeah. So it poses a question on if we are really prioritizing tourism as a way forward to bring more revenue to our country, because
it has really demonstrated increase in revenue, $1.45 billion, approximately.
Yes,
beating coffee.
Yeah. So at least we have to make sure that we patch these few loopholes, you know, the internet services, because I believe with hospitality we are very good, but internet services, even me, if I cross some parts of Ginger in there, the network is going to.
Why did you mention Ginger?
Because that is the number one destination people run to, actually. It is fun. It is fun.
Now, we're going to benchmark a little bit because we have just a few minutes left here. We're talking about the experience of tourists when they come in the country, in terms of, we mentioned the telecommunication services. So many more services, you know, could be also inclusive of the banking system in that country. Now, Safaricom in Kenya, which has a market value of $5.5 billion, is a giant that has successfully leveraged on the mobile services to drive, that is, financial inclusion and enhance customer and experiences. Now, we need to understand that innovative approach has inspired initiatives to attract tourists. Of course, when they get to Kenya, and that's why they love Kenya. Of course, it may not have as the sites as we have, but the services in terms of accommodation and the telecommunication services in Kenya, tourists love the services. I'll be honest. Yeah. So I would urge the tour companies to see how they can work hand in hand with some of these other service providers to see how efficient they can go about that. Now, of course, we take a look at Tanzania breweries. By the way, alcohol is key. Recently, we had a report.
Saudi Arabia?
No, actually, not even Saudi Arabia. I saw a report on Zanzibar.
Oh, the one
shortage of alcohol is affecting tourism revenue.
Yeah.
Now, Tanzania breweries has something whereby it promotes local beverages. You know, and you know when the tourists come, I mean, they shouldn't test the beer, and it tastes like what is the most famous vodka they take out there? Okay.
Any vodka,
which could be okay. I don't want to say Johnny Walker, but I'm just trying to give an example in line with that. But take a beverage, a beer that has that African authenticity.
Like we have Mara in Uganda.
Exactly. But it can be modified a little bit to give him that touch. Not because some of these are too raw, but they just need to be processed a bit, just a bit.
You know, the only problem with us is just that we also actually import. We import them and they find the same brands.
We import and find that. Now that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Because if I went to another country and you're telling me about a local beverage, I would love to test that. How does it taste? What's the unique? What are the ingredients? But make this up, you know?
You know, I think that is why people want to go to Jamaica, to test the coconut juices. I think that is the distinctive that is different. You know, people want to go to Jamaica, to the beach, to have that, the mimosas, to have the coconut text, because they have a lot of those. So we have to make sure. Now, for Uganda, I think maybe we would have Nile, because we have Nile breweries, and also maybe Mara. But of course, most of them...
East African breweries.
But of course, most of I don't think Mara is really... Maybe for Bushera, for Bachiga, or Bushera and Turire. That would work for them. They actually love it. They love it.
You've seen them test it and they are
complimented. They love it. They actually question, like, how is this even possible? Yeah, from sorghum.
So you're making...
So that is the unique part people want to... They want to test something that is way different. You come into cuisines, to drinks, they want to test difference. You don't want to come and find red...
Spicy food.
No, they want Luwombo.
All right, absolutely interesting. And it's exactly 20 minutes past 8. Smart Means Business. Andrew Barije. Masi Katsumi this morning, and of course discussing matters to do with tourism and what the stakeholders, the role they have in terms of increasing the number of tourists, which definitely results to increased revenue at the end of the day. Well, let's take a short break, and of course we're returning with the sports and entertainment.